Hello, this is Dylan Byers, and I did ransomware projects. Sorry, my screen recording stuff wasn't working today, but for my presentation, I'll just be doing a video. Um, for my senior, as I said, I'm doing ransomware in the healthcare system for my senior project. Introduction: ransomware is arguably one of the most popular forms of malware being used in today's world, leaving companies and institutions in complete distress as their system is completely locked out on the day-to-day workflow is completely interrupted. The reliance upon technology is growing every day, and the implementation of such technology into the workplace will only continue to grow, but so does the threat. With every new system or software, there will be vulnerabilities to be exploited by attackers. Well, what is ransomware? CISA defines it as a form of malware designed to encrypt on a device, rendering any files in the systems that rely on them unusable. Essentially, a lockout malware that allows for the attacker to put a wall up between all users in the database, just basically like locking your car keys out of your car, lock your car keys in your car. You just can't get in, and they demand a ransom for you to get in at all with the threat of deleting all your files or potentially leaking all your data. Attack vectors. Like all cyber attacks, ransomware has its different points of attack, but for the most part, the use of phishing schemes plays a huge part in attackers being able to infect systems with malware. In the case of a hospital or healthcare system, there can be many points of attacks: local networks, social engineering, or outdated systems. People still running Windows 7 or say all the data files are the same as the public network Wi-Fi within the hospital. It can be very difficult to defend yourself from the attack vectors. So that's why my project focuses more on a final defense. Why hospitals? Hospitals are a very attractive target when you think about it, how much money they make in terms of surgery, treatment, and stuff like that. But also when you think about that, is people's lives at risk when it comes to being locked out of data files, so you can't be able to access this stuff. So like if they're allergic to medicine, or if they can't have they have a certain blood type and you can't get them the blood type because you don't know what kind of blood there is, all this stuff matters a lot. Attack point number one, in my project, I kind of broke it off into two parts. Within a hospital database, you have things such as name, address, social security, like all within the patient chart, which I'll show example of, and which is high interest to sell off to like scammers and things like that. The second point of deflection is kind of like attack, where they threaten to fully delete the files as a whole, or just want to continue the lockout, which create panic within a hospital because you need the files as soon as possible, or any situation with ransomware. Solution number one, the solution I made with the code is the first point is to use active encryption on all data files to prevent hackers from reaching valuable information within the system. The goal of stopping the data leaks, so you prevent any legal trouble from patients. And the solution number two was to kind of store all the files in an offsite database with keeping the active encryption from solution number one, so that if a hacker gains access for solution number one, they won't be able to actually access the files because the files are actively encrypted. While they have access to the system, they won't be able to use any of the information or sell it off. And for solution number two, basically essentiating at those same encrypted files being automatically shipped to an offsite database. So basically a system that's not connected to the active internet, for the point of that and once they gain access to the network, they have free reign over anything that's connected to that database. So you want something that's being stored completely offsite and away from the situation for just when something like this could happen. Framework. This is very important to me. In terms of my coding expertise here at Campbell, I wouldn't say I didn't learn, but in terms of being like an advanced level coder, I'm just not there yet. And I wanted to kind of use this project as like a stepping stool, and to the point of where one day I could come back to it and use it as my coding skills get better and better, like in the workplace and using them in everyday life. I will look to use the code to make it better, because like in my code I have basic level encryption and stuff that's like within Python. Stuff like that wouldn't hold up against a top level hacker. So like if in the future, like if a professional wants to take this idea, or even me, if my coding gets better, where I can make encryption better and for stuff like this, so like a brute force attack wouldn't work, and that my encryption would be top notch. So as of right now, like the code might not be like of top tier, but it's more about the idea of everything. And I wanted to use the project to show the idea as something I could come back to in the future to make even better and potentially use as a solution. And the conclusion kind of plays off that. Ransomware isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and it's going to continue to plague as technology, but as we rely on it more and more. That's just how it goes. And when it comes to people's livelihood, like when it comes to hospitals and stuff like that, I think it's like a way different situation than these companies that are already like millions of dollars of profit every year, losing a couple $1 million. This is coming to people's lives that can die like every day. So when you think about that, that's the scary part of it all. Now jumping over to my code, it's pretty basic in terms of what it does to operate. I'll link all this stuff within the project thing. As you see here, I have it. This is for the base code in terms of creating a patient database. So when I run the file, as you can see, it'll say enter patient's name. So I'll do Dylan, date of birth 7/10/02, phone number 910-922-4198, name and address 123 Boulevard, just for example. Insurance company will do Allstate. Social security number, just put a random number in. This is just like the implement, like what a chart might look like. Patient symptom and disease, so this is like the medical component of making like a chart. So maybe we'll just do like asthma. Patient blood type, we'll go O positive. Allergies, we'll say they're allergic to latex gloves, so maybe gloves that are used in the hospital. And this is important to know, that maybe a nurse might not know this if the files were locked out, and it could be very important because they could have allergic reaction without the nurse never even knowing. And as you can see, it creates a list of everything I inputted into the data. Now the interesting part about this, I coded it to where if I open up, it's sourced back to, in the bottom code here, to this, everything's implemented to the chart here, which is like simulating opening the stuff up into a database, like on a work database. So everything was automatically uploaded to this like text chart file, as like almost acting like everything was implemented into the code. And for the second part of my code, I have it where this is like the active level encryption for the code. So it takes all this information, which is input in already from the text chat, and it uses Fernet, which is just a basic level encryption. And once you